Well, good afternoon, everyone. Here we are broadcasting live from Cortec at our Realcomm live stage here in Palo Alto, and we've had a great conference this afternoon. I am honored to be here with my three guests, Greg Fitzpatrick, who is Cochrane Supply, but also the Executive Director of the Real Estate Cyber Consortium, Helane Stein, CIO at Brixmor, and Ken Kurz, CIO at Corporate Office Properties Trust. We're going to be talking a little bit about OT cybersecurity. Well, let me start with this. So Greg, could you give just a little background, a little bit of your background, a little bit about how you got connected with RECC and what the what RECC is, what we're doing for the industry, and our mission, etc.
Yeah. Well, I've been in the industry for about 30 plus years, and my primary, let's just say this. I've been all around our industry, from being a consulting engineer to director of facilities. I've run my own commissioning firm. And I've worked for two of the large manufacturers of equipment and controls over the years. And the Real Estate Cyber Consortium, RECC, I think, has moved forward with understanding that OT cybersecurity is a very, very important topic. And I was approached late last year about coming over and being the executive director. And my initial thought was, wait a minute, I'm not an IT or a cybersecurity guy. But after talking to both Jim Whalen and Jim Young, I understood the importance of IT and OT pretty much getting on the same page when it comes to best practices and things like that, and immediately understood what my value would be. And one of the things that we want to do as far as raising cyber awareness is take it to the OT side now, right? Yep. So we're talking what I like to call cyber harmony, and that's getting the corporate and commercial real estate industries, their stakeholders, on the same page as what cyber awareness looks like from a protocol standpoint, from devices, from let's just say best practices, specifications, all of those things that encompass deploying technology into the built environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hugely important. And when you, what was your initial impression when you first heard about the RECC and what the goal was? I'm just curious.
Well, the first thing I thought is that it would be an organization full of IT-centric people who didn't understand the construction world, right?
Yep.
And I think my eyes were opened when we had our annual meeting, right? When we had our annual in-person meeting. And after 2 days of seeing the content and seeing the interaction amongst the members and understanding where the organization wanted to go, then I understood that there was a real need for this information that the IT community has needs to be passed along to their stakeholders. And I think that's the biggest gap right now.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the folks that make up RECC, they have a very strong interest in protecting their own state.
Absolutely.
Their buildings.
Absolutely.
So Helane, Ken, maybe talk a little bit about. We'll start with Helane. About how you got connected with RECC, what it means to you, and what you're getting out of the organization.
Sure, I got connected through my partnership with Realcomm and attending Realcomm, and cyber is such a big part now of every public companies, and this organization has a way of connecting all of us in real estate. It's one of the only organizations that really focuses cyber, IT, OT in real estate. So it's a wealth of knowledge. And I hope one day, from our efforts all working together, that we'll look back at this experience as being, years ago, telecom versus IT. They said, hey, those networks will never converge. They're always going to be separate. The skill sets are separate. I hope in the future that we're able to push the ball forward and that one day they'll be saying the same thing about IT and OT, that they will converge. Their networks are converging now. So having an organization focused on doing that in a secure manner, having resources for best practices, and vetted vendors that you can actually work with to help implement these things.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I think, I got connected very similarly through Realcomm and so on. I came from higher education prior to coming into commercial real estate, and for that was working with the government and the military. And those communities really have strong collaborative efforts amongst different stakeholders, right? And so coming in, I was really searching for a group that was focused on cybersecurity, sort of knowing the threat, knowing the vulnerabilities that exist out there. And the RECC has really sort of grown, I'd say even exponentially over the last couple of years, as that's become more and more prominent in our daily lives, right? And we think about commercial real estate, corporate real estate, all these facilities and buildings as part of our nation's critical infrastructure, and how do we come together, not only as owner-operators, but the corporate real estate piece, the integrators, like Cochrane and so on, and how do we get the vendors on board with building us the right capabilities that we're looking for, and really that's where RECC has really emerged as sort of that catalyst and center of gravity for our community to really sort of how do we tackle the cybersecurity challenge that we're all facing.
I think it's unique that RECC membership is skewed toward the owners, the owner developers, investment side of the house. We've got a lot of not only the CIOs and CISOs, but a lot of folks on the owner side that represent the operational technologies. I mean, of course, the crossover between IT and OT is growing on a daily basis. But getting that owner perspective, it's a different almost first-person conversation. Greg, the mission of RECC, where do you see RECC kind of evolving over the next 12 to 18 months?
Well, I think it goes back to cyber harmony, right? That statement, cyber harmony. And when you talk about cyber harmony, you talk about the different stakeholders that could be potentially involved in a project that touches the owner's built environment. You're talking about the consulting engineers, the manufacturers of IT and OT devices. You're talking about construction managers. You're talking about commissioning agents, right? You're talking about the systems integrators, who are the contractors who are deploying this technology. So moving into 2024, what we're trying to do is push forward initiatives that start from the top. You just mentioned that we're really owner-centric, right? Well, the first step is to create an owner's project requirement document that can be passed along to engineering firms who are specifying the technology that's being deployed in the built environment, right? So Division 25, 26, 27, right, 23, there needs to be requirements passed down from the owner down to their stakeholders to make sure that these projects are being built properly and that the contractors who are deploying the technology know how to coordinate with and operate within the parameters of the owner's policies.
Can you talk a little bit, can you all possibly share a little bit about the working groups that you're involved in?
Sure.
At RECC?
Sure. So I'm involved with the vendor management working group, spearheading, looking at the whole vendor management process from onboarding to offboarding, which at one point the SEC was potentially in the new regs going to really focus on, not focusing as deeply as we thought originally, but still so important is how do you continuously monitor your vendors, and because they are a weak link, they can be. As you see in the news, there's breaches every day, and making sure that you're staying abreast of your own vendors that have a foothold into your network and into your organization.
And I think it's whether it's vendor management, we've got working groups on infrastructure and architecture, which is sort of where our strengths lie and things that we've done. And really one of the strengths in the RECC is the fact that we're sharing all this information amongst each other, right? It's not a competitive advantage necessarily to talk about how we're architecting our security capabilities, right? It's sort of the rising tide raises all ships. right? So the idea is really to be collaborative, to share, and if we need to spin up working groups or communities of interest, it's very, very easy as long as somebody raises their hand and they want to take on a particular topic or task, and then sort of, get the other folks involved who may be interested in that. We can carry the water together, right? And I think we're sharing those outputs, and that's a key sort of value added of what we're getting out of it.
There's a high degree of engagement with the membership.
Well, and also,
across the board.
and being able to reach out to anyone
Yeah.
in the group or members of the group when you are having a specific issue and you want to find out, well, how are you addressing it? What's the best practices? What vendors have you vetted and looked at? So that community, I mean, Ken and I's team through this,
Yeah.
we meet on a regular basis to talk about security.
Yeah, it's that
Best
community
practice.
aspect,
It's that
yeah.
that
and
network and
absolutely.
community.
We're in two very different industry verticals, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's still core sets of things, the blocking and tackling, that we're all trying to figure out the best way to achieve.
Well, I'm really proud, of the work that's evolved over the last, started, I think it was in a meeting in San
2017.
Jose in 2016.
16,
I think it
yeah,
was.
16.
Called together about 20 of the groups. Some were still there today, some not, which was the beginning, of the idea of collaborating around this. And I really applaud the work you've done and the contribution that you guys have made. It's really making a difference, I think.
Thank you.
And looking forward to some good growth and expansion and great things coming out of RECC for 2024. So.
Yeah, 2024 is the year of content. It's the year of content. Yeah, we plan on producing a lot of content, starting with that owner's project requirement document and moving to business cases for some of the content that we've seen in the past. We like to close the loop on some of those presentations that we've seen, whether it's cyber insurance, or whether it's integrating a integrated risk management tool, right? We want to see business cases for those to help our members take them to their leadership to implement some of these things we've seen.
Well, with the increase in cyber attacks that we've been seeing, especially over the last year, it's just becoming critical that we put our heads together and figure this stuff out.
Absolutely.
So with that, I want to thank you all for being here with us for Cortec. We have a presentation coming up.
Yes. Yes, about 4:30.
In a bit this afternoon. With that, we're going to call it a wrap.